My name is Cassie and welcome to my channel. I figured that, again, I'm trying to do the YouTube thing, and it's April 30th, so it's the last day of April, and I've read 9 books this month, and so I was like, why not do a wrap-up video? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a wrap-up video. Hopefully I don't do a complete horrible job at it. But yeah, no, we're gonna just jump in. I went down a little rabbit hole towards the end of this month, which I'll explain as I get into the books that I read. But in my last video, when I was sharing my very tentative TBR for Escape the Readathon that I am participating in May, I mentioned that I had started The Passengers by John Mars, this guy right here, but I hadn't finished him yet, so wasn't really, gonna go too far into that situation. But anyway, so The Passengers, they have self-driving cars, and some of them happen to get hijacked or hacked, and these people are told, hey, you're going to die by like the end of the day type situation. And so the hacker or hackers or what have you, they put it on like the news and all this other stuff, and they're like, which of these people should be saved, and who are we gonna kill first type situation. It was a very interesting concept. I enjoyed it for the most part. I did find the main female character a bit grating on how she thought and how she said things and whatnot. She kind of irritated me a little bit, not too horribly, but still kind of annoyed me a little bit. And this, I gave this one 3 stars because it was good. There was just some, there was the whole main female character kind of annoying me, and then there was a few other things like towards the end of the book that didn't make sense to me. Maybe I missed something, I don't know, but I gave it 3 stars, and it took me a while to read it too. For some reason, I've noticed that like in the first 2 weeks of the month, it's really hard for me to pick up a book and read it like continuously, and so it takes me a while to get through a book because I keep putting it down and picking it back up and putting it down. So it took me a while to read this. And then the same goes for the writing retreat, which I did not read. Like it was like a softie enough for now, because I thought after The Passengers that, okay, I'm good. Let's read another thriller mystery book. And so I picked the writing retreat because, that sounded interesting from one of my online friends who really enjoyed it. And so I was like, I'll give it a shot. And again, it was just like picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down. I only got like 12% into it within like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, which is, this is not like me. If I like a book, I'm finishing it in a day. It's a done deal. And taking days just to get 12%, I was like, yeah, obviously I'm just not feeling this. I'm a huge mood reader. So I decided that since that was not working and I didn't really have any interest at that point in time of reading anything like fantasy or sci-fi, that I was going to try my hand at rom-com, or at a rom-com. And this is kind of where I fall down a little rabbit hole. So the second book that I read this month was The Deal by L. Kennedy. This was my very first hockey romance. I've never read a hockey romance before. I think I've only read maybe one sports romance, like rom-com in general, and that was The Cheat Sheet. But outside of that, generally it was Allie Hazelwood with STEM, or it was Christina Lauren, which I don't think there was any sports in any of those ones that I read from them. And then whatever other rom-coms that I read, I think they've been kind of office based. And so this is my first hockey romance. So one of the college hockey players is not doing well grade-wise, and you have to have a certain grade or GPA in order to play. And he finds somebody that's in this class that he's not doing very well in, and decides that he's going to make a deal with them so that they can kind of tutor him to pass his class so he can continue playing, and so on and so forth. And of course it goes on from there. Which, you know, it was a good read. I enjoyed it. I do believe that there is kind of a situation that happened to her when she was younger that some people might not enjoy reading about, but I think that the author did a really good job, like how they did that story. I think they did a really good job for it. So I didn't see anything too horrible there. I gave this 4 stars. And the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because, you know, I compared it to other rom-coms that I've given 5 stars to, and it just didn't hold up as well as the other ones that I've given 5 stars to. And so I was like, well, it's not a 5 star, but it's not a 3 star, so I gave it a 4 star, as I still really enjoyed it. So that was the first rom-com of the month. So the second rom-com of the month, and the third book of the month, there's a movie coming out on Amazon Prime. I think it's May 2nd. And it is called The Idea of You. And I found out that it was based on a book. And so naturally I have to read the book before I see the movie or the TV shows. That's just kind of how I work. It's very rare that I don't read the book before seeing a show or a movie if I know that it is based on a book. So I decided to read The Idea of You by Robin E. Lee. And I liked the premise of this book. It's about this woman who is 39 years old, and, you know, she has a daughter who, you know, is like pre-teenish, about to be teenager type situation, and like she goes to a concert with her daughter for this band, and, you know, her daughter has a couple friends with her, and, you know, they get to meet the band, and there's like this connection that happens between the mother and one of the band members. And of course the band member is like 20, I think, but there's a connection there, and it kind of the book kind of explores how that all goes. But I liked it because, you know, there's this thing where a gentleman, an older gentleman, can go out with somebody or be with somebody that is like anywhere from 10 to 20 years his junior, and it is perfectly acceptable. But a woman cannot do the same. It's like a stigma there for some reason. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's okay for them, but it's not okay for us. And I liked how this book kind of explored that. I gave it a 4-star, and the only reason I gave it a 4-star, it is nothing wrong with the book itself, not really. It's just I didn't like the ending. I just didn't like the ending. I know why that ending happened, but that doesn't mean I liked it. So, I didn't like the ending. Hey, Bubble. So, 4 stars for The Idea of You. So then we're gonna switch gears a little bit. We're still in the rom-com era of the month. And the next book I read was The Boyfriend, or not The Boyfriend, but Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. And you know, I've seen this around for a few years now. I mean, it came out in 2020, so it's been 4 years thereabouts since it came out. You know, I've seen it and I was like, oh, that looks, you know, the cover, I like the cover. It's very colorful. I didn't really know what it was about. I just kind of really liked the cover of it. And as I was looking for books to read, I was like, you know, especially in like KU, I was like, I kind of think I want to read that. I want to test that out. I want to see if I'm going to like it. So I read it. It's essentially, you know, somebody, this son of a old has-been rock star, or if he was even a rock star. I know he's in a band. I don't know if he got very popular in the band, but he was kind of popular. And, you know, he's a has-been, but he's making a comeback. And even though the son is not famous at all, for some reason, if anybody sees him, they, you know, and they find out who he is, it doesn't matter what he happens to be doing. If they, you know, to take a picture of him and then they put it online or whatever, they always paint whatever he's doing in a bad light, even if it's not, you know, he's not actually doing anything bad. Like, he just tripped and fell, and they took a picture of him, and all of a sudden he's like drunk and on drugs and all this other stuff, when that was not the case. He tripped. And so he has to better his how people perceive him online, because it's even though he's not actually doing these things that are bad, the people that are doing all this posting online are making him seem bad. And so the thing that they think is going to help him look better is if he has a boyfriend that kind of puts him in a better light or something. So he has to get a fake boyfriend. So that's kind of what this is about and how that all works out and everything. I gave this a 4-star. Again, it's not like there was anything wrong with the book per se. It's just that when I compared it to how I felt about other 5-star books that I've read for rom-coms, it just didn't quite have that 5-star feeling to me when compared to them. And so 4-star. But it's better than a 3-star because I still really enjoyed it. It's just not 5-star material. That's all. Okay, so that's 3 rom-coms that I read outside, you know, and then there was The Passengers, the thriller book that I read first. But, you know, after reading those 3, I decided, you know what, I want to read another hockey romance. I want to read another hockey romance. So I found one on KU, you know, and I don't know any names or if these are any good or anything on, you know, because sometimes you can read a KU book and it's great, and other times you can read one that's like, what did I just read and why did I read it? But anyway, so it's like Russian roulette sometimes when you pick a book to read on KU. And so I picked Iced Out by Veronica Eden to read. And this one was a hockey player happens to go to a bar after a game, and the people that they just played against were there. And somebody from that other team, one of their girls or whatever, was dancing on the bar top. And he saw that the captain of the other team was trying to, like, get her to come down and all this other stuff. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get her. Because, he's enthralled anyway. And so he goes and he manages to get her. Well, come to find out, the girl is actually the sister of the captain of the other team, his rival. And he's like, you know what? I don't care. Somehow, I'm gonna get you. And she's like, yeah. No, you're not. So it's kind of just playing out how all that is gonna go and the whole hockey thing. And I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy it as much as The Deal. And so I gave it a 3-star. It was still good. It was just not as good as The Deal when I read it. So, and I don't read a lot of rom-coms, so I really just don't have a good basis sometimes on how to, like, rate these. So I just kind of go on how I felt about other books that were similar. It's like, well, how did I feel about that one? I gave that one a 5 stars. And I'm like, well, I didn't quite feel that for this one. And so, I kind of rate it based on that when it comes to rom-coms. It's probably not the best rating system, but that's kind of how that works. So, yay! So then I continued my rabbit hole adventure in rom-coms and hockey romance, and I was like, this looks kind of interesting. And I read the synopsis, and I have this thing. I don't like love triangles, and so any books that have love triangles or something like that, and I'm just like, it automatically just degrades from like a 5 to a 4 or whatever. It automatically just brings it down. Not to say that the book still won't be good and I won't give it a 4-star, but I'm probably very unlikely to give it a 5-star. And don't come after me for saying this, but I blame it on Twilight. I blame it on the Twilight series. Don't get me started on that. Just, we don't need to talk about it. Don't come after me. We don't need to talk about it. It is what it is. When I was an older teen and those books came out, that was just, yeah. It put me off of love triangles forever. At least for the last 2 decades it has. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to read something unconventional that I would probably not normally read, because I wanted to read a hockey romance again. And I know that there are some Wide Shoes books out there, and I was like, I kind of want to see how that would work on paper. The whole Wide Shoes. So I found a book called Double Pucked by Lauren Blakely. And the reason I kind of picked this one was she works in a bookstore. Obviously, she likes reading, which is, yeah. But she also has like this adorable dog, like this 3-legged dog. And I was like, I'm all about dogs. I mean, I got 2 of them myself. Yeah. You. So I was like, let's give this a shot. This whole Wide Shoes situation. And so she's got a revenge plan because of something that her ex-boyfriend did. And so these two hockey stars that she kind of meets and whatnot, decide to help her with her revenge against her cheating ex-boyfriend. And so it's kind of following the beginning of that situation and just kind of taking it to the end. I was expecting something a little bit different. I think I was expecting more of like how the dynamics worked a little bit more like on the emotional basis and everything like that. But it was kind of more on the smutty side of the world. There's nothing wrong with that. Totally okay with it. It just wasn't what I was expecting it to be when I was like trying to read it. But I generally enjoyed it. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the whole why choose situation. It's not as horrible as the love triangle thing for me. It makes a little bit more sense in a way. And there's just not as much drama and not as much angst and just, so anyway, I gave it a 3-star, because again, it was not what I was expecting it to be. And it was a little bit more on the smut side to the plot and all this other stuff. So 3 stars, still not bad. I enjoyed it. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to continue on with any of the other ones or other books in this series. I think there are other books in the series, just following different people. They're like standalones, but they're part of a series. But anyway, it was interesting. It was an interesting situation. And now that I've read 5 rom-coms and I've read 1 mystery thriller type situation, I decided, because I couldn't really decide on what I wanted to read rom-com wise next. And on one of the Discord channels that I'm on, I've had this this series on my Kindle. I bought it like 2 or 3 years ago or something like that. But I never read it. It just sat on my Kindle. And so everybody in the Discord right now that I'm on happen to be like kind of into reading this series right now. And I'm like, you know what? That's like a romantasy, I think. Which is kind of, part of the whole romance thing that I have to be into at the moment. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to read book 1. And so I read Air Awakens by Elise Kova. And she is, her name is Bahala, I think. Bahala. And she is a library apprentice in this castle. And something happens and she finds out that she's a sorceress. And not only is she a sorceress, but she's like a special sorceress in a way. And she ends up meeting the prince and all this stuff, and all this stuff, is happening as she's learning, that she's a sorceress and what that means for her and everything. And it kind of it goes from there. I don't want to give a whole bunch away. I'm still not good at the whole, am I giving something away? Am I not giving something away? But anyway, this is the first book in a 5-book series. And there was, I gave it a 4-star. It wasn't like, it wasn't 5-star for me. It was a 4-star. And I think the reason it was kind of a 4-star is because it is a YA. And so, as much as I enjoyed it, I am having some issues with getting into the headspace of YAs recently. And so there were points where I kind of felt like I was getting whiplash with Valhalla, where it's like, oh, she's, making a really smart choice. That's she's being very adultish. And then, phew, no, that's stupid. But then it's like, oh, but then she's, phew, and I was getting a little bit of whiplash. But despite the whiplash, I still really enjoyed it. So I gave it a 4-star. And then, to continue, I wanted to know what happens next, obviously. There wasn't like a cliffhanger or anything like that. But I still was like, yeah, no, I need to read the next one because I want to know what happens next. So I read Fire Falling, which is the second book in the series. And this one I did give 5 stars because despite everything, I really enjoyed this book. And of course, since it's the sequel, I'm not telling you anything about it. Nothing. Just know that whatever happens, it led me to reading the next book immediately, Earth's End. And I gave this one 5 stars. Highly enjoyed it. And on top of that, I haven't finished it yet. I actually just started it today. I just didn't get very far into it. I think I'm only 15% into it, and it's 9 o'clock now. It was a busy day, so I might not be able, I'm probably not going to finish it tonight. I might read a little bit more of it, but I'll probably finish it tomorrow. But so I'll just add it to next month's wrap up. But I started book 4, Water's Wrath, today. So still reading that. I'm about 15% in. So that will be on, again, that'll be on next month's wrap up. Hi, so a little update. I was about 15% into the Water's Wrath by Elise Kova at 9 o'clock last night when I finished doing my video recordings. But I did not go to bed like I said I was going to go to bed. Well, I mean, I did. I was laying in bed, but I was reading on my Kindle, and I read until about 11:30, and I got about 80% through the book. And so I just finished the other 20% today, which is the 1st of May. And it's not even noon yet, and I was just like, you know what, because I finished the majority of it in April, I'm just going to count it as an April book and not a May book. So I did, in fact, finish Water's Wrath, and I gave it 5 stars. So I just wanted to update you that I read 10 books instead of 9 books, but that was it. Back to regular programming. So those are all the books that I read in April. I managed to read 9 books, which sometimes I don't know how I do that in like the last 2 weeks of the month. The last 2 weeks of the month, I read 8 books. I don't know how. I just did. That's just how that rolls. I read 1 mystery, obviously, 5 romance, and then 3 romantasy. These are my little monthly stats. They were all 9 of them were ebooks. And, they were all KU books. They were none. I don't own any of these books. I would like to own the Airwaken series, but that's for another time. My average rating was 3.94. My page count was 3,302 pages with an average page count of 366 pages. So they are all they were all under 400 pages. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes short books, you know, are good. And, you know, I tend to fly through them. So I am all about that. So that is my April wrap up. If you guys liked the video, like it, or you can subscribe if you want to. And I will see you next month with something, hopefully, whether it's some kind of a vlog maybe with how I'm doing with the readathon that I'm going to be participating in, or if it's another wrap up at the end of the month, or, you know, maybe I'll get around to like doing a book haul video or something like that, where I can show you some of the books that I've got, at least like within the last couple of months. I definitely cannot show you all the books that I've gotten in like the past year or so or more from the last time I did a book haul, but I might be able to you know, swing like the last month or two book haul. So we'll kind of see how things go, and until then,